Ladies and gentlemen, let's not waste time sugarcoating. You were not put on this earth to blend in, to settle, to shrink yourself down so others feel comfortable. You were born to win, not in some cheesy motivational quote way, but literally. You beat millions of odds just to be born. That wasn't luck. That was your first victory. So why now are you living like a loser? You need to understand something right now. And if you truly let it sink in, your life will never look the same again. You were born to win. That's not motivational fluff. That's a biological fact. You are the result of a ruthless process of selection. Do you understand the odds you've already overcome? Out of millions of others, you made it. From the very beginning, your existence was a result of competition, survival, strength. You didn't come into this world a mistake. You arrived victorious. So why the hell are you living like you're cursed? The world didn't beat you. You gave up. You started believing the lies, that you're ordinary, that it's okay to be average, that someone out there owes you an easy life. No one owes you anything. The universe doesn't care how you feel. It rewards the ones who move, the ones who take action, and the ones who understand that winning is already in their blood, in their nature, but it has to be unlocked. It's like having a lion trapped in a cage, sedated by comfort, by laziness, by society's poison. That lion was meant to hunt. You were meant to dominate. But instead of dominating, you're scrolling. Instead of building, you're complaining. You've convinced yourself that you're powerless, that you're not talented enough, not lucky enough, not connected enough. All of that is nonsense. All of it. Because here's the truth. The only thing standing between you and the life you're supposed to have is your own mindset. You've let yourself forget who you are. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you actually fought for something? I don't mean pretending to try. I mean actually gave every ounce of energy, discipline, focus to win. When's the last time you got up early, worked in silence, sacrificed comfort and saw it through? Most people never do. Because most people live in survival mode, not winner mode. They're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. That's a loser's game. And here's the brutal truth. If you don't believe you were born to win, you'll never even try to play the real game. You'll just stay on the sidelines watching others collect the rewards you told yourself weren't meant for you. But those rewards, the money, the body, the freedom, the power, they are meant for you. They're meant for the version of you who refuses to stay in the cage. But you can't earn a king's life with a peasant's habits. People say they want success. They say they want to be great. But they live like they're hoping to just survive the day. You were not born to just pay bills and die. You weren't born to work a job you hate, come home tired, eat garbage, and distract yourself from your own dissatisfaction. You were born to build an empire. You were born to influence, to create, to conquer. That's why you feel unfulfilled. Because deep down, you know you're living way below your true level, and it eats at you. That's the itch you can't scratch. The voice in your head telling you, there's more. And there is. But only for those with the balls to go after it. Let me be very clear. You will not activate that inner winner by accident. You have to choose it. Every single day. That means discipline when no one's watching. That means showing up when you're tired, broke, and uninspired. That means pushing through even when the rewards are not yet visible. And the funny thing is, when you start living like that, when you start acting like the version of you who wins, you start to become him. Slowly, then suddenly, everything changes. You walk into rooms with a different energy. You stop tolerating mediocrity in yourself, in your surroundings, in your circle. You set higher standards. You don't beg for respect. People feel it when you enter. And it's not because you became someone new. It's because you finally allowed the real version of you, the one that's been buried under weakness and excuses, to take control. But none of this works if you keep waiting. If you keep telling yourself you'll start tomorrow, that is loser behavior. Winners start now. Winners don't wait for permission, motivation, or guarantees. They move. They demand more from life. Because they know they were built for more. You know how people talk about motivation running out. Motivation is irrelevant. You don't need motivation when you have identity. When you truly believe, no, that you were born to win, everything changes. The question isn't can I, it becomes how fast can I. You don't wonder if you're capable. You start asking, what else am I capable of that I haven't even discovered yet? But I'll tell you what kills that potential faster than anything. Doubt. Self-pity, complaining. The minute you accept weakness as your identity, you've lost. And not just once. You've programmed yourself to lose. You've hardwired your brain to submit. That's why most people they've rehearsed their own defeat so many times. They've forgotten what it feels like to win. You have to remind yourself. You have to earn that reminder every day. Through effort, through sacrifice, through consistency. You stop feeding the coward inside you. You starve, and in his place, you build a savage, a machine, a warrior who understands that his default state, his natural condition, is victory. That's what you were built for. That's what's inside you. But you've got to fight to bring it out. You've got to earn the right to look in the mirror and respect the man staring back. And until you do, you'll keep feeling that void, that gnawing sense that you're supposed to be doing more, being more. So stop playing weak. Stop acting like you're confused. You're not confused, you're afraid. Afraid of the responsibility that comes with winning. Because once you know you're capable of more, excuses die. You can't hide behind circumstances anymore. And for some of you that's terrifying. But for the rest of us, the ones ready to step up, it's freedom. You were born to win. Remember that. Then act like it, every day. Let's begin. Let me tell you something that most people are too afraid to admit. Losing is a choice. I don't care what your situation is, where you come from, or what excuses you've been feeding yourself since you were a kid. Losing isn't fate. It's not some curse placed on you by the universe. It's not in your blood. It's a pattern, a habit. And like any habit, it gets stronger the more you repeat it. People walk around acting like they're victims of some invisible force that decides who wins and who doesn't. That's delusion. You think champions wake up lucky every day. You think discipline just falls into their lap. No, champions are just people who refuse to keep losing. They recognize that every time they skipped a workout, avoided a risk, chose distraction over focus, they were feeding a habit, and they made a decision to break it. Simple as that. But most of you, you're addicted to losing. You don't even see it. You lose in the little ways, the quiet ways, the ways no one notices but you. You hit snooze. That's a loss. You say I'll do it tomorrow. That's a loss. You skip the hard conversation, the uncomfortable truth, the disciplined routine. That's another loss. And all those tiny losses add up. They compound until you've built a life around losing, a lifestyle, a whole identity. You don't need some massive failure to be a loser. Losing is death by 1,000 cuts. And every time you choose weakness, you bleed a little more until you wake up one day, tired, broke, out of shape, miserable, and you say, I don't know how I got here. But you do. You just didn't want to look in the mirror. You chose not to count the losses when they were small enough to And here's the real killer. Once losing becomes a habit, you start defending it. You'll fight for your limitations harder than you ever fought for your potential. You'll say, I didn't have the right upbringing. I don't have time. It's not my fault. All of that is loser logic. I've heard it 1,000 times, and every time I do, it sounds exactly the same. A scared person, trying to make peace with mediocrity. And let me say this loud and clear. You do not make peace with mediocrity. You declare war on it. You don't get to walk around wearing the badge of a warrior if you're not willing to go to war with your own weakness. Because weakness is seductive. It wants you to believe that playing it safe is smart, that waiting until things are perfect is wise, that settling is mature. But it's losing, disguised as logic. People say to me, but I try so hard. Trying isn't enough. Losers try. Winners do. The difference is commitment. The difference is follow-through. The difference is that winners build habits around winning, not just wish. They don't negotiate with themselves. They don't operate off feelings. They do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not, every single day. And if you want to stop losing, you've got to do the same. You've got to build a new pattern. And that starts with self-awareness. Brutal, unfiltered self-awareness. Look at your life. Really look at it. Your bank account, your body, your mindset, your relationships. Ask yourself, is this the life a winner lives? Is this what I was meant for? If the answer is no, good. Now you have a starting point. But don't you dare lie to yourself anymore. The moment you admit that losing is a choice, everything changes. Because now the power's back in your hands. No more blaming your parents, your boss, the economy, your ex, your circumstance. The second you stop pointing fingers, you gain the only thing that matters, control. And with control comes the ability to flip the script, to break the cycle, to rewire your habits. But that requires consistency, not convenience. You don't fix a losing habit with motivation. You fix it with momentum, with showing up, with stacking small wins until they become your new normal. And the beauty is, winning is just as addictive as losing. Once you taste it, once you start keeping promises to yourself, once you get a glimpse of what it feels like to be in control of your own destiny, you won't want to go back. But you have to earn that feeling. It doesn't come cheap. It comes from sacrifice. And don't think for a second that I'm saying this to be nice. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to challenge you, to remind you that no one's coming to save you. If you're losing, it's because you've allowed it. And if you're sick of it, do something about it. Build the habits that winners build. Make the decisions that winners make. Practice the discipline that winners practice. And do it long enough that losing becomes foreign to you. Because once you flip that switch, once you train your mind to hate weakness, to despise excuses, to reject passivity, then losing no longer feels natural. It starts to burn. It bothers you. And that's when you know you've changed. When losing becomes unacceptable, that's the mindset of a winner. Not someone who never fails, but someone who refuses to stay down. So stop treating losing like it's just part of your story. Stop wearing failure like it's some badge of honor. It's not. It's a wake-up call. And if you're hearing this right now, that means it's time to wake up. Break the habit. Rewrite the pattern. Rebuild the machine. And this time, let's cut the nonsense and get straight to the truth. Cowardice hides behind excuses. That's all it is. Every time you open your mouth and say, I can't, it's not the right time, I have too much going on, what you're really saying is I'm scared. Scared to try, scared to fail, scared to step up and face who you actually are underneath all the distractions. But instead of admitting that fear, you dress it up in clever little excuses so you can keep lying to yourself without feeling bad about it. That's what cowards do. They build a castle out of excuses and hide inside. Now let's be real. Everyone feels fear. I've felt it. Every man who ever accomplished anything has felt it. But here's the difference. A real man walks into it. A coward backs down. A coward will build an entire worldview around protecting his ego. He'll blame the economy, his childhood, his girlfriend, his genetics, the government, bad luck, anything but himself. He will do everything except take responsibility. Because once you take responsibility, you run out of places to hide. And most people aren't ready for that level of honesty. But that's exactly where your power is hiding on the other side of brutal self-responsibility. You know how you know an excuse is a lie? Because it always sounds smart. It always sounds reasonable. I'm just waiting for the right time. I'm not ready yet. I need to plan a bit more. That's fear in a suit and tie. That's weakness pretending to be wisdom. You don't need more time, you need more courage. You don't need more preparation, you need more action. Because deep down you already know what you should be doing. You know it, but you let your excuses talk you out of it. And the worst part, you think that's normal. It's not normal. It's pathetic. Because the life you want is just sitting there, waiting. And you're too busy rationalizing your own inaction to go and take it. You're sitting in a cage made of your own words, hoping one day the door opens by itself. But that door doesn't open. You open it. You walk out. You do the uncomfortable thing. You take the hit. You risk looking stupid. You get up, even when you're not sure what comes next. That's how you win. There is no secret. There's just courage or cowardice, action or excuse. And let me make something else very clear. Excuses aren't harmless. They cost you. Every excuse you tell yourself steals time, confidence, momentum. You don't feel it immediately, but over months and years, it destroys you. You lose opportunities, you lose relationships, you lose respect from others and from yourself. And that's the worst loss of all. The loss of self-respect. You look in the mirror and you can't even trust your own reflection because you know you're full of it. You say things you don't follow through on. You make promises you break, and you wonder why you feel stuck. You're not stuck, you're soft. Excuses are like weeds. One or two don't seem like a big deal, but if you don't rip them out, they take over everything. They strangle your potential. They suffocate your ambition. And the more you use them, the more they become your go-to. Until eventually it's not just what you do, it's who you are. A man who backs down. A man who talks more than he acts. A man who loses and blames the world instead of himself. You don't want to be that man, you want to win? Then shut up and take control. Rip the excuses out by the root. Replace every I can't with I will. Replace every I'm not ready with let's go. That's the only way. You fight that weak voice in your head. The one that's always trying to negotiate your greatness away, and you drown it in action. Every time it says later, you do it now. Every time it says wait, you move. That's how you kill the coward inside. The world will hand you excuses all day long if you let it. People will validate your weakness because it makes them feel better about theirs. But winners don't want validation, they want domination. They want to look around and know that their life is the direct result of their own discipline, courage, and effort. And if they fail, good. At least it was their failure. Not the kind of fake loss you create when you never even try. Understand something. The most dangerous thing you can do is believe your own excuses. Because once you believe them, they become your reality. If you tell yourself you can't, you won't. If you tell yourself it's too late, it is. If you tell yourself you're not meant for greatness, congratulations, you just made it true. Your words are programming your mind. So if you keep feeding yourself cowardice, don't act surprised when your life looks like it. And I get it. Fear is but it's not in charge unless you let it be. The winners you look up to, the ones living the life you want, they're not fearless. They're just disciplined enough to act. Despite the fear, they know excuses are just emotion dressed up as logic. They feel the same pressure you do, but they don't let it run their life. They run it, and that's what you need to do. Right now, not next year, not when things are calmer. Now. This isn't about hustle porn. This is about whether or not you're going to waste your potential for another year. Because you're too afraid to get uncomfortable. Because if you are, be honest with yourself. Say it out loud. I'm choosing fear. Own it. Don't lie. But if you're sick of that cycle, then stop feeding. Stop justifying weakness. Stop negotiating with the coward in your head and start acting like the man you were meant to be. You already know what needs to be done, so do it. People talk about motivation like it's some magical force. Something you either have or you don't. That's complete garbage. Motivation is a temporary spark. It comes and goes. What actually matters is what you do when you don't feel motivated. And that's where discipline comes in. That's where real winners are separated from the talkers. Because winners don't need to feel like doing something to get it done. They do it because it's required. Because it's the standard. Because it's non-negotiable. And you want to know why most people lose? Because they're addicted to emotion. They think they need to feel good to act. They say, I don't feel like working out today. And then they skip. I'm not in the right mood to build my business today. So they delay it. They wait for inspiration like it's going to save them. Not realizing they're training themselves to be weak. Discipline is what creates momentum. Discipline is what builds results. And discipline is what reshapes your identity. Not motivation. Not feelings. Not vibes. The truth is, if you only do what's easy or comfortable, your life will be hard. But if you choose to do what's hard, if you learn to show up when you're tired, sore, broke, stressed, your life gets easier. You become stronger. You become more dangerous. That's the paradox most people will never understand. You build freedom through self-control. You build power through repetition. And you earn respect, especially self-respect, through consistent action, not emotional hype. You think I always feel like grinding, like waking up early, putting in the hours, showing up every day? No, but I do it anyway. Why? Because I know who I am. And I know that every time I keep my word, I grow. I get sharper. I gain leverage over the old, weaker version of me. And that's what it's all about. Consistently proving to yourself that the man you used to be no longer has control. That version of you who made excuses, skipped workouts, settled for average, he doesn't get a voice anymore. Because discipline silenced him. You can't build anything meaningful without discipline. Money, you'll blow it without structure. Health, you'll lose it without habits. Relationships, they collapse without effort. Discipline is the foundation everything else sits on. Without it, you can't sustain anything. You'll just ride a roller coaster of motivation highs and burnout crashes. You'll be stuck in a cycle of starting strong and quitting half. And eventually you'll start to believe that you're just not consistent. That's not true. You've just never decided to be. You know how people say they're waiting for the right time. Let me explain something. The right time is a trap. There is no perfect moment. Life is chaos. There will always be distractions. Always something trying to pull your attention, drain your energy, shake your confidence. If you can't execute under pressure, you're not built for the top, period. The right time is now. And what gets you through the storm is discipline. Not waiting around for the skies to clear. Discipline means doing it even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. It's brushing your teeth at 4 a.m. because your schedule demands it. It's showing up at the gym when your body's screaming to quit. It's building that business when the results haven't shown up yet. It's doing it again and again and again until the results have no choice but to show up. And even then you keep going. Because discipline isn't about the result, it's about the identity. You become the kind of person who does what needs to be done every time. Most people never become dangerous because they never stick to anything long enough to see the compound effect. They stop when it's boring. They quit when it's tough. They get distracted by shiny nonsense and call it changing direction. No, it's quitting, dressed up as a pivot. Winners lock in. They pick the mission and go to war for it. They don't chase dopamine. They chase dominance. That takes insane focus. That takes structure. That takes discipline. And yes, it's hard. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was, Everyone would be a millionaire with a six-pack and bulletproof confidence, but they're not, because most people live on autopilot. They do what feels good in the moment and call it balance. They sabotage their own future for 5 minutes of comfort. They let their feelings dictate their fate, and they wonder why they wake up 5 years later in the exact same place, or worse. But you don't have to live like that. You can flip the switch. You can make the decision to stop letting your emotions run your life. You can choose structure over chaos, focus over feelings, grit over weakness. You can choose discipline, and with it, you can become unshakable. Because once discipline is your default setting, everything else becomes easy. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop making decisions based on moods. You wake up, you execute, and you move. No drama, no delay. You become efficient, lethal, focused. The world starts bending around your way. People start respecting you, not because you're loud, not because you're flashy, but because they can feel that you're in control. You respect yourself. That's rare. That's powerful. And if you're still sitting there saying, but it's hard, good, it's supposed to be hard. That's the filter. Most people will fail this test. Most people will tap out, but not you. You're not built like them. You were born to win, but you can't claim that victory without discipline. Discipline is the price. You either pay it now and live free, or skip it and stay stuck forever. So pay up. Look around you. Most people are alive, but they're not living. They wake up, go through the motions, pay their bills, eat their processed food, scroll on their phones, and call it a life. But there's no fire, no hunger, no urgency. And you know what that means? It means they've already given up. They're just too comfortable to notice. They've surrendered their ambition in exchange for comfort. They've let time slip by like it doesn't matter. And that's the biggest mistake a man can make, to live like he's got forever when every second is ticking against him. You don't have time. You think you do, but you don't. Every minute you waste, you never get back. Every day you coast, you move further away from the life you were meant to build. And here's the kicker. It's not even about death. It's about the slow death of potential, the quiet decay of your future. You're not going to wake up one day in flames. You're going to fade out slowly, painfully, with regrets gnawing at you like rats in the walls of a house you never finished building. You were given a mind, a body, a spirit, tools to conquer, to build, to create. But instead, most of you are just surviving, playing it safe, treading water, telling yourself that someday you'll make the move. Someday you'll take the risk. Someday you'll start living with intensity. Let me tell you the truth, someday is a lie. There is no someday, there is only now. There's only this moment. And if you don't seize it, someone else will. Someone hungrier, someone who's not waiting for perfect conditions, someone who understands that urgency is power. Let me ask you something. If you knew you had 1 year left to live, would you be living the way you are right now? Would you still be wasting time arguing with people who don't matter? Would you still be numbing yourself with junk food, trash entertainment, and fake validation? Would you still be sitting on dreams that are rotting inside you because you're too scared to fail? You wouldn't. You'd move. You'd cut the dead weight. You'd get serious. You'd live with urgency because you'd know the clock is running out. And the truth is, it is. That's what urgency is. It's not panic. It's not anxiety. It's clarity. It's understanding that this moment matters, that every day you waste is a day you could have been stronger, richer, sharper. Every hour you kill is time you'll beg for later. Urgency makes you uncomfortable, and that's the point. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. It tricks you into thinking you're doing fine when you're not. Urgency strips that illusion away. It forces you to face the fact that you're either building or decaying, that you're either rising or dying. And this doesn't mean rushing. It means being deliberate, focused, ruthless with your time and energy. It means you don't sit around waiting for inspiration. You go out and hunt results. You attack your goals like they're oxygen, and you're drowning, because that's the level of intensity it takes to win in this world. This isn't a movie. No one's going to walk in and give you a montage moment with the perfect background music and slow motion glory. You either create that moment through consistent effort or you don't get one at all. The reason most people never level up is because they think life will eventually slow down and give them space. It won't. Life will keep punching you in the mouth. It will keep testing your discipline, your focus, your resilience. And if you keep thinking you'll get serious later, then life's already won. You've already lost, you just haven't felt the full weight of it yet. But you will. One day you'll look back and realize the opportunities were there. The doors were open. You were just too lazy, too scared, too distracted to walk through them. There's nothing worse than potential wasted. Nothing more tragic than a man who had all the tools, all the raw power, but never activated it because he thought he had time. You don't. So stop living like you do. Stop sleeping in like your dreams are waiting for you. Stop hesitating like the world owes you a chance. It doesn't. The world owes you nothing, but it will give you everything if you decide to earn it. And that starts with urgency. You've got to wake up and realize that every day is a battle. Every decision matters. Every choice is either taking you closer to power or pulling you deeper into weakness. You don't coast your way into excellence. You attack it. You grind for it. You bleed for it. And when other people are sleeping, you're moving. When they're wasting time, you're working. When they're relaxing, you're building. Because you're not like them. You can't be. You were born to win. And winners live with urgency. Let other men waste their lives in comfort and excuses. Let them mock your intensity. Let them laugh when you say no to distractions, to mediocrity, to softness. Because while they're laughing, you're building. While they're sleeping, you're sharpening your edge. While they're drifting, you're rising. And when they finally wake up, they'll be miles behind you, wondering how you did it, wondering why you're free, and they're still trapped. It won't be luck. It won't be talent. It'll be urgency. So stop waiting. Stop slowing. Stop living like you've got time to waste. Move now.